It's been 2 years since I cut a demo reel, and I knew it was time for an update because I had outdated projects in there and I just knew I can cut a way better one. Along the way of cutting this new reel, I realized I was following a set of guidelines to make it a compelling reel, which I'll discuss in this video. If you could barely look at your reel, which is sort of how I felt with my old reel, and feel like it's time for an update, then this is your sign to finally make that happen. I couldn't even get myself to watch my old reel because it felt really slow and boring, and I feel like I was in a different headspace when I was editing that 2 years ago, and I realized people just don't have the patience to let a song build up. As sad as this is, attention spans are just not there, and realistically you have about 10 seconds of somebody's time before they swipe away, especially on Instagram and TikTok. But that leads me to my first point of making a compelling reel: choosing good music. Good music really comes down to your taste and style, but I think by choosing a song with a good energy and good vibes, that will really be the anchor point of your video, because there's no real narrative or story to follow along. It's mostly just a montage of footage, so your song is what's going to be really guiding your viewer, and it's going to give off an impression of your style. I think most people watching would rather a feel-good track versus a somber cinematic score, but that's just my opinion. Your music choice really comes down to your preference. But I think I would rather try to get people to bop their heads versus trying to draw emotion out of them in such a short amount of time. As we all know, finding good music can sometimes take longer than editing itself, but don't skimp out on this part because your song choice is really one of the most important factors in your reel. When choosing music, I think it's important to ask yourself, would I listen to this song outside of this edit? That will give you a clear direction to head in when choosing music for your videos. A method I found to find great music is, if I find a song I like, I'll go to the artist page and scour their entire library, and most likely they have songs that fit that similar vibe and aesthetic. And I think the song I found for my demo reel was one of the best stock music songs I've heard in a while. You should avoid using copyrighted music since this can come off kind of unprofessional, and I know there's sort of a gray area right now with Instagram and TikTok, but if you're uploading your demo reels to Vimeo or YouTube, which you should be doing, just use copyright-free music. As you edit your reel and hear the same song over and over again, it's really easy to get sick of it. But keep in mind, when people see your reels for the first time, it's most likely going to be the first time they're hearing that song, so just stick with it, and if you really hate it, just choose another option. A general rule is to be cutting to the beat of the music, which is why some slower songs don't really work, and people don't have the patience to sit there and let a song build up. They want to see the meat of it at the very start of your reel, which brings me to my next point: put your best stuff first. I made several cuts of my first demo reel and I sent it around to a few friends to get their feedback. The general consensus was to mix it up a lot more and move some shots to the beginning because they felt it was the strongest. The first few drafts I tried to cut from project to project so the piece would have some sort of cohesiveness, but I realized reels are meant to be montagey and it's okay to cut back and forth between projects. Like I said, you want to hook people within the first 10 seconds, so if they do decide to click away, at least I showed them my best stuff within that time. The viewer's going to decide to stick around if you hook them at the very front, which is why I moved the drop of the song to the very beginning. If I were to actually let the full song play out, it would just take way too long to build up, and you naturally want the best looking clips to happen when there's the most energy in the music. So don't be afraid to chop up your music and only use the best parts of it. That way you'll have your clips being played over the best parts of the song. How do you decide what shots should go first? Well, for DPs, I think you should be choosing stuff that have good lighting, good framing, and good camera movement. For my reel, I started with a shot that has a quick tilt up and then the song drops, and I was hoping that was enough to keep people engaged. If you're a director or actor, I think the same thing applies. You should be putting your best stuff first, which can be stuff that have the most production value, have the best performances, or anything that shows off your style. Remember, less is more, and if people want to see the full videos, have them linked on your website so people can see how the full project turned out. Sound design. I think this one gets overlooked when doing reels, but I think if you want somebody immersed in your footage, you should be adding some sound design. This could really set your reel apart from other people because I feel like it really rounds out your piece, and if you're a director, I feel like this is really important, but if you're a DP, I think it's just as important as well, because it will really add the production value to your footage. Even the first few shots in my reel, for example, if you were to remove the sound design, you could see the shots are sort of empty, and it's almost more noticeable by not having it than having sound design. It's sort of funny with sound design because when it's there, you don't even notice it, but when it's not there, you notice it the most. Sound design can be super time consuming because you have to find a shot that matches your exact clip. For example, there's a shot where she's placing down her keys on a cloth, and I found a lot of sound effects that were placing keys down on wood, and those two sound effects just sound completely different. I had to find a sound effect that matched that exact clip, but I think if you want to go the extra step, you can always record your own sound effects, which in the end might actually save you time, because trying to dig through audio libraries just takes forever to find that exact sound effect. You should actively be updating your reel and trying to stay relevant, so hopefully you can land some future work. If you like this video and want to see more videos like this, then subscribe to my channel, and thanks for watching.